We'll call to order the January 2023 meeting of the Bloomington Plan Commission. Glad everybody could be here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. We have a bit of an agenda today. We have quorum, though, I believe. I think we're all set. And we've got a couple members absent today. We have mostly I'd say a fairly administrative agenda today. But let's start by calling roll as our first order of administrative work.
Great, thank you. Ballard?
Here.
Burrell?
Here.
Seaboard?
Here.
Cochran's absent. Herrera is also absent. Kinsey?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
St. John?
Here.
And Whistler absent. Thank you.
All right, and as I said, we do have a bit of a administrative heavy agenda today, mostly consisting of organizing ourselves with the election of officers for our work for this year. And then we have on the agenda tabled petition, SP 24-22 Cutters Kirkwood 123 LLC. That's been tabled. We have a petition continued to February 6th, and that was the PUD that was discussed in December. PUD DP 24-22 Robert V. Shaw, the Prow Road, 3500 block of North Hackberry Street. And then we have one petition tonight from the City of Bloomington, ZO51-22 to discuss. So with that, minutes to be approved is our first real agenda item. We have a review, or anybody ready to motion on the December minutes? Any corrections?
I motion to approve December 12th, 2022 minutes.
Great. Motion to approve. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Excellent. Any concerns? We're ready for a vote. We don't have anybody participating online, do we? No. Okay, so we can do regular.
A voice vote is fine.
Okay.
So just
Okay, so since we have no one participating online today, we can do a voice vote. So all those in favor of approving the December minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes for December approved. Okay, so,
I'm so sorry. One point I messed up. I'm not used to this voting sheet. Mr. Enright Randolph, are you here as well?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
thank you. Okay, so we have a unanimous vote of
Thank you.
Yay on minutes for December too. And now we have election of officers. So do you want to review the bidding on what we have?
Okay, let's see what
here?
we've got this year. I'm going to just share with you what we had last year. And then I know that there has already been some discussion from some members about serving on different items this year, so we can just go from there.
Okay.
I don't think it's any surprise, so I'll go ahead and go through who they are, and let's see if we can make this bigger. Tiny bit bigger there.
Better. One more.
Hold on. So for president last year, it's kind of a lag here. Mr. Whistler, who is not here tonight, served as president last year, has for a number of years, and is willing to serve again. Also, every year, willing to give it up if someone else is interested. Last year, Ms. Kinsey served as vice president again for a number of years in a row. I'll just say, so I don't have to say for everyone, I think everyone is willing to give up or reserve is what we have heard in the discussions about appointments. Ms. Burrell was the Plan Commission appointed member from the Plan Commission to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Whistler was her alternate last year. I don't believe he went to any meetings, and again, would be happy to give that alternate seat up if someone else would like to take it. Ms. Kinsey was the Plan Commission appointment in lieu of Mr. Seaboard, and Mr. Smith was the alternate member there. This body also appoints the other members of the Plat Committee. So last year, Mr. Blake and Mr. Peden were the CBU reps, and Roy Ayton and Patrick Durkis were the engineering reps. Engineering wants to stick with the same two. CBU is changing it up a little bit. Mr. Blake is going to be the alternate, and Ms. Carter is going to be the regular member. And then hearing officer, we changed in the middle of the year to Mr. Roebling with Ms. Rosenbarger as the alternate. And so that we will be expecting to stay the same this year as long as you all are amenable. And Ms. Kinsey was the Plan Commission proxy to the MPO. I do not believe we ever appointed an ex officio member to the County Plan Commission, so that's something you all can discuss. So our suggestion would be to just start at president. Again, Mr. Whistler is willing to serve. If anyone else is interested, now would be the time to say so. I will also point out there are other things that members of this board have to do. So for example, the mayor will be contacting someone on the Plan Commission to serve on the BUEA. That is not something that we discuss here, but that is a position that has to be filled by a Plan Commission member. Obviously, Mr. Herrera also sits on the Parks Board. So he is doing both of those positions. Mr. Ballard is the appointment to BZA of Plan Commission members that's appointed by the office of the mayor, so he is serving on both of those as well. So as we say most years, everyone here is doing more than one thing, so we appreciate that and take that into consideration when you're having these discussions.
And it also limits who can serve in other
Correct.
roles. So, okay, anybody want to put themselves up there for taking on one of these roles? You know, this is a good opportunity. If you want to try something for a year, we could make these more rotating than they have been.
I think we'll start with the president. I nominate Brad Whistler for president of the BZA 2023.
Okay, so that's a nomination for Brad.
Yes.
All right,
Second.
okay. All right, we want to do these by office, or do we want to have a,
We will go ahead and do them by appointment if that's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or by
All right,
office.
so if we're willing to talk about that one, particularly since Brad isn't here, it seems like a great opportunity to elect him president again. But other than that, yeah, we can process this election. So we have a nomination for Brad and a second, and if we can do a vote on that one. Do we need to do a vote?
You can do a voice vote.
Okay, voice vote, great. All those in favor of Brad Whistler as president of the Bloomington Plan Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yay, okay, we have our first position slotted. All right, vice president, anyone willing to take on this role? I'm happy to do it again, but if someone else wants to take the position.
Again, I nominate Jillian Kinsey for vice president. of the-
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second, and the person is, I am willing to serve. Okay, so if we want to process this one then, so all those in favor of Jillian Kinsey serving, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, okay, so we have 2 slots taken. All right, our BZA representative. Well, I'm willing to nominate Flavia Burrell again, if she's willing to serve in this role.
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Okay, we have a nomination.
And then I think for these, correct me if I'm wrong, we can do it as a package. And should we do Flavia and then the alternate? Okay, sorry, you go ahead with the voice vote. Thank you.
Okay, all right, we'll do a voice vote for this one again. All those in favor of Flavia Burrell for the Board of Zoning Appeals representative, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I suppose I should ask for abstentions, but I think I heard ayes from everybody at this point. Okay, all right. Okay, and now we want to do the BZA
So
alternate?
Board of Zoning Appeals alternate. So
Yep.
this would be in a situation where Flavia wasn't available. We would just ask you if you were available, and if you were, we would ask that you sit in for that hearing. I don't think Brad went to any last year
No.
or the year before. I think he went to 1 in 2020.
And this isn't a bad position for the president to be, since it's infrequent, but I don't know if that's okay. Can we continue with this arrangement? Does it
Yeah, I
seem
think
okay?
unless anyone else is interested in doing that, I don't think Brad would probably be opposed to be reappointed there.
And Tim is not eligible because he's already
Right.
presumed that he will continue in that mayoral appointment.
Now, on Brad Whistler's email, he said he would prefer to have no other assignments.
It's true.
Yeah.
I could pick it up. I don't really know anything about it, but if it is something where it's a very infrequent situation, then I could do it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I actually can't do it.
Sure.
If
I
it's something more than
typically
that.
Don't miss,
Okay.
unless,
Okay.
unless I can.
Well, if you are willing, Karen, I will nominate Karen St. John for the BZA alternate position. Is that a second over there?
Second?
All right.
you.
Excellent. Okay. All those in favor of Karen St. John as the BZA alternate, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, we're on a roll here. The Plat Committee. All right, so do we want to do this one as, the only one that we eventually nominate or approve the other members. Is that correct?
Correct.
Anyone else want to take on this Plat Committee role? It meets, it's right prior to this meeting. It doesn't meet every month. It does involve some review but I don't know who else is eligible.
Yeah, so I think eligibility is slim for those who are here. For example, the seat is Andrew's, but because of the way that it's structured, he also has a staff person on that committee, so it's kind of odd, would be odd to have both of them. And what we've kind of crafted over the years is preferring to have one seat be a member of the public, basically, who is coming to that meeting, since it's a little bit more low-key than Plan Commission, so that it's not all staff people. So I don't think Flavia or Tim could serve because of what they're already doing.
Right.
Or Andrew. I think potentially Ron or yourself could continue to serve.
All right, I'm looking
Again,
down
just,
this way.
you guys both already know this, but we don't meet that often, right? So Plat Committee, I would say probably at the most meets 6 times a year. It doesn't meet very often.
Yeah, well, maybe I should ask Commissioner Smith if he is okay with the arrangement that we have where,
I am.
yeah, I know you had a conflict on that
Yeah,
Monday, but maybe not.
I was usually hooked up half the year with doing a class on Mondays, and so when, you might not be able to serve, there were times where I just couldn't do it.
Is that continuing?
I
I don't want to set it up so that you have a conflict
well,
and you can't make it.
It will start again in like late August.
But, okay, so, all right, so
So-
at least we know you're safe,
Yeah.
reasonably safe.
Yeah.
For this part of at least the spring semester.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
all right. Willing to continue in this arrangement?
absolutely, sure.
All right. Okay, maybe we can do both of these? Can we do both?
Yes, sure.
Okay, all right, so given the lack of eligibility of pretty much anybody else, do we need to, nobody else is missing that we need to consider? Israel can serve,
Well, because Israel's already on both boards, right, Plan Commission and Parks, so
Yep.
that puts him in an awkward spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 6 of you here.
Chris.
Plus Israel. Yes, Chris. Chris is one that we don't know about and didn't hear
He didn't
details
express any
from.
interest. How clever of him not to have expressed any interest in advance. It doesn't seem quite fair or kind to assign him something. I suppose our other option is we just don't assign, and then we hope.
Yeah,
that-
we can come back to it in February. We've done that other years. Or if, for example, you know that you're fine to serve, we could appoint you and appoint the alternate next time. If Ron is, not sure if he wants to do the half-year situation, but willing to do it, sorry, but, wanting to talk to Chris first. We've sometimes pushed some out to February if need be.
Well, I don't want to delay the identification of people to serve in these roles, but one of the options could be that when Chris Cockrum is here, that we ask him again if there's something that he has wanted to do, and then we could either have a reelection or perhaps when Commissioner Smith cannot make the PC alternate for the Plat Commission in the fall, when you can't make that, maybe Chris could take over the alternate role there. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes, we can always revisit, as we've done in the past with like the hearing
Okay.
officer when positions have
All right.
changed
I
mid-year.
certainly don't want to leave them out of these roles either. Okay, all right. We ready to have a voice vote on the PC? Did
Well, we
already
need a
do-
motion for
Motion?
the
Yeah.
Plan Commission
Thank you.
appointments to Plat Committee, Kinsey as the appointment and Smith as the alternate.
I'll motion Plat Committee representative is Jillian Kinsey and the Plat Commission alternate as Ron Smith.
Thank you. Okay, all right, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of Jillian Kinsey serving as the Plat Commission representative and Ron Smith as the alternate, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, okay.
And then can they do the rest of the staff as one vote? Okay, so this will be appointed to the Plat Committee for CBU, Liz Carter with Brian Blake as the alternate, and for engineering, for city staff, Roy Aiden as the appointment, and Patrick Durkis as the alternate is our recommendation.
Great. All right, well, those candidates sound good. If that's our official nomination of that slate of candidates that we see posted, Carter, Blake, Ayton, and Dirks.
I'll motion approval of the four listed individuals, Liz Carter, CBU, Brian Blake, CBU alternate, Roy Aiden, engineering, and Patrick Dirks, engineering alternate.
Second.
All right, so all those in favor of that slate of candidates, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, all right. And then hearing officer, is Ryan willing to serve?
Yes.
And can we do that and Beth as alternate together? Okay. Do we have a motion for this?
I can do it. I can keep you, someone else wants to do it. I'll motion Ryan Roebling, hearing officer, and Beth Rosenbarger, hearing officer alternate to the Plat Committee.
Oh, sorry, just to hearing officer. Yeah,
Hearing officer and hearing officer alternate
correct.
Rosenberg. All right,
Second.
and I think Tim seconded.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Okay, all right. The Monroe County, okay, the name of this, the Metropolitan Planning Organization that we have a representative for. I've been serving in this role, but I think it's technically the president.
It's technically Brad, so what we've done in these meetings is, he actually, I don't think a vote is required. He just appoints you as the proxy.
Okay.
So it's something we've discussed at the beginning of the year, so everyone knows who it is, but yeah.
Okay, all right. But technically, it's his position to
Correct.
serve, so he can tell me to not attend at any point. Okay,
So that may be one, again, that we can discuss with Mr. Cockrum. I believe in years past, was unavailable at those times that we've discussed, but that may be one to talk about.
yeah, that might be a great one. If Chris is interested, I think he would be a wonderful proxy, given the information that's shared at that meeting. Okay, we'll try and convince him to accept that proxy option. Okay.
So
Anything
we'll
else?
discuss that with Brad when he's
Yes.
back, and then we
Yep.
can just let the body know.
That sounds great.
And then the last one is the county plan commission ex officio member. Like Tron comes to our hearings, is anyone able to go to theirs? That we did not have anyone last year. I believe no one was able to do that. So just something to think about. It would be helpful. Not a requirement.
When are those meetings? That's,
Typically Tuesday at 5:30. We have a admin meeting, I think the first Tuesday, and then I think the third Tuesday is our regular session. It's give or take as far as time. We can have a light agenda or a hefty agenda. I will say that we are looking at the county ordinance, the CDO, and we're hoping to move that forward to finally get it to its adoption stage. So this could be of good benefit for the City Plan Commission to have a representative there as we're looking at the CDO. So I highly encourage anyone, but I understand if their schedules don't permit it.
yeah, I do think it goes a long way to help with these city-county relations to have somebody representing us at that meeting, just as you contribute a lot to our meetings, Tron. So it would be a good thing to be able to do if we can, but I understand we're assigned here already. I would consider if Chris isn't interested in something like that, maybe we can talk about either one of us either serving in the MPO PC or county ex officio role. Maybe we hold on these two remaining, unless someone else is, no, okay,
Yep. So that's it.
okay.
So we can discuss that further when we have
Yep,
more members
okay,
of the board.
so we've
That would
left
be
two
fine.
issues remaining when Chris returns and Brad's here.
Okay.
Okay, those
And
last two.
I
Yeah.
might add, if I may, you mentioned the BUEA, the
Yes.
Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association. I put a plug in for them. The mayor will ask somebody from this group to be a representative on that board. It is an hour to an hour and a half every month, and it's an organization that is, for the most part, figuring out how to give away urban enterprise funds, and so that might also be another thing that Chris could do.
Yeah, that's great.
Additionally. So
Okay.
again, the mayor picks that person, but it is a time commitment, which is why I switched up here. I just went off that board at the end of December, having served, I think, for 2 or 3 years, and I just need to pare down my volunteer involvements, but I highly recommend it if you're approached by the mayor to serve.
Thank you. Thank you all for serving in all of these roles. But I wonder, when will the mayor make those appointments so we know if Mr. Cockerham is actually picked up for one of these other?
Yeah,
I guess
so
that would be
so
the
it's
only
just the
eligible.
BUEA is
Yeah.
the only other one, and I don't think that's been done yet. It's funny because I don't think we had been previously notified before Ms. St. John was serving on there, how that worked, so I don't know if something changed. But when she started involvement in that, then we became aware of that and have been a little bit more involved. So I do think that they will let us know. They tried to get them all done as closely to the beginning of the year as possible.
Okay.
So hopefully by the next meeting, at least we'll have an idea of who's doing that and can discuss the outstanding positions.
Okay. Yeah, that also sounds like it would be a good one for him to serve.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, plenty of assignments for Chris left. Okay, we didn't hog them all. All right, I think that might be it. Anything else
That's
from
it on election of
staff?
officers, yeah. And then we just had a couple of housekeeping things. We wanted to just say that we still have 2 open positions in the department, in the Development Services Group specifically. There's Senior Zoning Compliance Planner and the Zoning and Long Range Planner. Because we received a new half-time position this year, our Zoning and Long Range Planner moved into that. That fit his schedule better. So we have a full-time position open. And then Ms. Carter, who has just been appointed to the Plat Committee, moved from our Senior Zoning Compliance Planner position to a position at CBU. So we have 2 positions open right now. We just filled our office manager position, which Carmen Lillard retired last month, with Melissa Herzl, who was a member of the Department of Public Works. So she started with us today, so we're excited about that. So moving toward full staff soon, hopefully again. I don't know, you're not supposed to say that, but
Yeah.
soon. So just if anyone's watching, get on the website and see what we have available. Thanks.
Great. All right. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay. All right. So we have one petition tonight, and that is ZO51-22 City of Bloomington, a text amendment and a request. And I think we have someone who needs to recuse themselves. Is that?
Yes, that's me. So I'll step out due to a conflict of interest.
Okay. And that really is our only agenda
Yep.
item.
That's
So,
Right, so I won't be back.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so this is our petition tonight, text amendment request, text amendment to add an overlay to the Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO, and a waiver of the second hearing. And you're not Ryan Roebling.
I'm not. But I will be covering this quickly. He is in another meeting that we have going on right now. So this is the description of the original request, which you'll recall you all saw, and then that went to council. This body recommended the petition with a positive recommendation when it saw the petition in November, and then council approved the associated ordinance with a 9-0 vote in December with one amendment, and the amendment was actually prepared by staff. It is a strictly technical corrections amendment, and we recommend that you approve that amendment. Is it called, are they approving?
You're
Certifying?
accepting
Okay.
the amendments that were made by the city council to the Unified Development Ordinance, so to the proposal that was forwarded by the Plan Commission.
Say that again, Mike, sorry.
Accepting the amendments that were made to the ordinance by the city council.
Okay.
So the amendments really were, typos, or where maybe a semicolon would have been more appropriate in a list as opposed to using commas, those types of corrections that we just had kind of missed when we were first writing it out. So we think that those were all appropriate, and Mr. Smith can, add anything from being there as well, but I think it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And there may have been a name switch that was missed in the original one, and somebody on the council just said, oh, yeah, well, that's called something different on another page. And so it was just all technical.
And just to clarify, the precise language in the statute is if the commission approves the amendment, so they use the word approve the amendment of the legislative body.
Okay, all right, great, good. And I guess if that's all the presentation, and I don't suppose we have anyone presenting a counter perspective, and do we have anybody on Zoom?
We have one person on Zoom. If you would like to comment on this petition, go ahead and raise your hand, your virtual hand, or send me a message. Doesn't look like we have any comments on Zoom.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is kind of a non-issue, I suppose. So any comments on this? I had one question, though, actually. If the question was about the word, the word shall was the point that was raised in this one, I think, if I remember correctly. Can you explain a little bit about that distinction and whether that was what that was designed to do?
I'm so sorry. Do you mean a particular time that one of the regulations used the word shall?
I thought that was a clarifying part
Oh, it
of
may be.
this.
Just a moment.
It was a clarification, I thought.
Just a sec.
I can search for shall if it helps, but I didn't know if there was more to that than just a text correction. If there's nothing more to it, then maybe I don't mean to make a mountain out of a molehill, but.
Oh, no, you're fine. Okay, so in Ms. Piedmont Smith's amendment, one of them says, rewrites 6A1 to remove shall, which would have forced structures to have ground floor dwelling units. So I believe, let me see if I can find that quickly. Hold on. Just a sec.
was just a nicer way of saying that we wish.
Well, I just don't want to describe it to you incorrectly. I mean, shall in this context, page 31? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be happy to help, but I don't
Yeah, do you
recall
remember
either.
this
It's,
one?
no, I don't.
What? Oh.
It's been a while.
More of a nicety, or if it
no, I think
was
you're
intended to be more instructive.
I think, oh, sorry. Okay. So I believe that the original proposal stated multifamily dwelling structures with frontage along a street identified in the transportation plan as main street, shared street, or general urban, and structures along the Beeline Trail shall have ground floor units located at least 20 feet behind each building facade facing any public street or the Beeline Trail. That is not what was intended. It was that if you had units, then they had to be set back. So she proposed, the language change is for structures in those areas that I described, each dwelling unit located on the ground floor shall be located 20 feet behind. So the way that it was written the first time inadvertently required that you had units on the first floor, and that's not something that we were looking to do. So the shall was moved so that if you have units, they have to be set back, but you don't have to have units there.
Great. Okay, that's very helpful.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
for
No problem.
clarifying
Sorry
that,
about that.
move of a shall into the right place. Okay, all right, that's wonderful. All right, if there are no questions or comments, are we prepared to motion this one? And I think Mr. Rucker clarified that we are approving the amendment.
I'll move to approve that amendment as it's set forth.
All right, do we have a second?
Second that.
Thank you. All right. Okay, and would we like to, I think this one might be worth taking a roll call vote just to make sure that we're
Yeah. I think
straight
that'd
with
be
the
fine.
UDO.
Burrell,
Yes.
Seabour,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Ballard.
Yes.
5-0, thank you.
All right, so if that is all that we have, we
it.
are accepting this one. 5-0, excellent. Motion passes to approve this amendment, and we might be done.
I think so. Thank you
We're
so
done?
much for coming
Okay,
in.
this seems surreal. Okay, so we're done.
Got half a night.
All right. And the meetings for,
Focus.
yeah, and just to clarify, the meetings, we have a couple of different non-first Monday meetings coming up. I noticed, one seemed curious to me, that was it the February date that's on the 6th? I didn't know what the holiday was. I was trying to figure out what the rearrangement was. We have a meeting on February 6th. The March one makes sense because of break. Am I right
It's
about
okay.
that?
We won't hold you to, no tests after this is over, so.
When we make this schedule, we do, obviously, we're looking at the holidays in the month, but also the breaks between meetings. Meaning having them be for either 4 or 5 weeks apart. For so that the cycles kind of work similarly. So I would have to get out my handwritten calendar that I used to make this to tell you for sure. But I think sometimes what happens is, for example, if there is a holiday in April that pushes that meeting up in the month, then the preceding months do as well, especially because, February only has 4 weeks. So typically, in the last few years, it's looked similar to this. So trying to avoid spring break for March. Then if we wanted February to be on the 13th, then they wouldn't be 4 weeks apart. They'd only be 3 weeks apart. And then that is kind of too tight for a petitioner. What we have found is that's too tight. Like if someone does come in February and needs to make changes by March, that's not enough time to allow for that. So we try to do 4 minimum.
So everybody else knows that February 6th, it's on our bottom of our agenda, is our next meeting, and that is correct. for that reason, even though there's no, we weren't getting off for Valentine's Day or something on the
No.
13th. Okay, all right, okay, all right, we're done.
And then
Thanks,
I can
everybody.
email you all this. It's on the website, but I'll just email you a link to make sure everyone has the most updated. I think we may have done that when we made it, but I just don't recall. So I'll send out another.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank you.